Ooh, that's new. What is that?
So this is the Tesla front drive unit.
Front unit, okay.
I promised you guys 2 motors, and this is the second motor. This is a front drive unit from the Tesla Model S. In the rear, we have the rear motor from the Tesla Model S. So it's a package deal.
What is this purple thing you got here?
That's a Wiggins clamp.
Wiggins clamp.
Yep, so if you guys have seen some of the builds that we've done, this is like a quick release water line. I just kind of threw this in here because I thought it was kind of cool. And I'm gonna probably do most of this engine compartment with these HydroFlow fittings and the XRP hose. So I made this custom fitting. One of my buddies like machined this for me. So for the top and the bottom, and then this just allows me to be able to use these little quick release fittings.
Oh, that's crazy.
Right on the CSF radiator, yeah.
So you don't need to use like a AN wrench or anything like that to pop it off?
No, so you pop it like that, and then there's a double O-ring in here, and you kind of got to muscle it off, but you just basically pull it off,
right? Put
it right back on, and then snap the quick release on top of that.
Who invented that?
I think it's a military thing.
Is the guy's name Wiggins?
Probably. I think they're called Adele Wiggins clamps.
Okay.
And this is actually a HydroFlow company. So I'm just guessing, I'm not sure, but I'm sure at some point in time there was another company that sprouted up as competition, and there was Wiggins and HydroFlow, and that happens to be a HydroFlow clamp, but they're associated with Adele Wiggins clamps.
Oh, okay. And then, is that the electric booster? What is that?
What are you pointing? Oh yeah.
I'm pointing at my screen, but I'm pointing at that.
Yeah, this is the iBooster. So this is a Bosch unit that, because we can't make any engine vacuum, there's an electric mechanism in here that's 12 volt powered, and it'll actually give electric assist to your brakes. So there's a control board inside of here, a little stepper motor inside of there, and it actually applies when you press the brakes, it'll give you assist in whatever percentage that you're basically traveling your foot, it'll give that much assist. So it'll feel like you have electric brakes.
Okay,
and it works really well.
Where do you put the fluid?
The fluid, so this is kind of interesting, but the reservoir's here, and then it'll have a remote filler. So then it's gonna have a little filler, like what you'd see in these cars factory, just like a little filler bottle.
Okay. The back here real quick, for some of you guys that missed the first episode, you guys should go back and check it out. We were talking about the rear subframe, the rear motor, but this is the rear motor. Can we get like a quick rundown on the rear setup here for the guys that just joined?
Yeah, the rear setup is essentially very similar to the front. It's a approximately 300 horsepower Tesla drive unit. So it has the motor, an inverter, that was basically the electronics that talk to the motor and control it, and then a differential here, so that's where your axles would plug in. And this whole subframe and everything was built around this EK chassis, so we can convert this car to all-wheel drive.
There you go. And then the front right there is where the battery is gonna lay out, right?
Yep, there's gonna be, half the pack is gonna live on the floor, and then all the rest of the pack is gonna live back here in that hole where the gas tank used to be.
What's all that stuff on the table over there?
So that's all the electronics for the car. There's a lot of electronics. It's super complex.
Let's go check it out.
Let's see what we got.
That's all of it or some of it?
Most, I guess.
Most, okay.
All right, so let's start easy, right? Digital dash, AEM digital dash. Ooh. Pretty easy. I'm sure you guys have seen these before. This is a CD5. It's very common for any kind of build, but this is gonna just display all the data, right?
Is that the same thing that you have on the S?
Yes, I had the same one on the S2000. It worked really well, so I just go that route. So this right here is a giant, massive ECU, basically.
Whoa.
So VCU stands for Vehicle Control Unit. It's basically like, you can't really say ECU for engine. So this is just gonna control the entire vehicle. So these little modules here consist of, there's like 6 or 7 of these, I guess. This is basically wired to every single cell on all my batteries. It'll measure temperature on the thermistors. It will be able to see voltage in every single cell. If you have a cell that's too high or too low, this system will manage it, and it'll basically bring all the voltages to an even amount. Because if they're not an even amount, that's when you start hearing about cars that catch on fire. And stuff happens, and thermal management is really, really important on EV cars. So this is going to manage my thermals. All right, so in here we have our CCU. So this is our on-board charger. This giant thing is a water cooled, so cooling, like we were talking about with the radiator, cooling will enter and cool this. So we need thermal management inside of this charger. It also has a DC to DC in here. So what that does is it takes your 400 volt battery pack and then it converts it down to 12 volts for your creature comforts and your electronics that use 12 volts, kind of like your VCU. The vehicle control unit uses 12, and then that will lead right into our battery. So this little tiny battery right here is one that I chose from Anti-Gravity.
Why can't you just pull battery power from the actual packs in the car?
Because some things require 12 volts and some things require 400 volts.
Oh, okay.
So this is going to be this tiny little battery. Check that thing out. I mean, it's all of like a pound or so.
What is this?
Feel that thing.
Whoa, that's light.
That's crazy, right?
Lithium, right?
Yeah, this is a little like 3-cell, I think, Life 04 battery.
Okay, yeah.
It's really cool. So this is all I really need because I'm not cranking anything. So you know how it's like always like, oh, how many cold cranking amps?
Right.
When that doesn't matter anymore, it's really how much voltage is this DC to DC going to feed back to this battery. So this little 12 volt battery is really all we need. Now to manage the 12 volt power and to send it to things like headlights, water pumps, et cetera, is this PDM. So this is basically an electronic fuse box. And you guys might have seen these before because we push this stuff really hard at Rywire. Reason being is it just makes it so much easier to wire a vehicle. Like if you want to wire a vehicle from the front to the back, you can use a power distribution system like this, where you just wire all of your inputs in, and then over the CAN bus, you can control it, and the control can be done with these little keypads. So I'm going to be running one of these CAN bus keypads. So this keypad has 4 wires in it. It's a powered CAN, and all these buttons, you can do multiple presses. There's a lot of key actions here that can be done over 4 wires. This gets wired into the PDM, and then all the lights and everything gets wired into there, and then you can just have full control that way. Everybody's probably somewhat familiar with these. This is just a J1772 basic charger. This is an AC charger. We eventually might go DC with the charging, which would be like a fast charge. But for now, for this charger, all we really need is just J1772. So this is just a slow charge, and I made a little bracket so it can bolt right onto the EK. When you're talking 400 volts, it gets really dangerous, and we want to be as safe as possible. So we're going to end up using multiple of these shutoffs throughout the car. And this is a battery service switch.
Does it look like something from a boat?
Yeah, I know. I mean, pretty much, dude. Like this company Gigavac, they do a lot of boat style applications, but it's easy just because it's a big switch. It's easy to find, it's easy to turn. Cars these days actually they're getting up to like 1,000 volt systems, where that's quite dangerous. Like the Porsche, I believe, is an 800 or 1,000 volt system.
Or with the Plaid?
I think the Plaid is actually only a 400 volt system.
Oh,
yeah. So some of the cars are getting pretty crazy and they're really high voltage. So using isolation to be able to protect yourself is really important. With that being said, we use gloves, special tools that are actually coated. So when you do need to like wrench on something, it's a completely plastic tool with like the metal of the tool is actually inside of the plastic housing. So yeah, there's a lot of kind of preventative things for safety, and we can probably talk about that more later, but
yeah. Safety always later.
Yep, I know. Talk about safety later, man.